Hello and welcome to episode 2, series 2 of the Coventry City Former Players Association podcast, where we are going to be going international today. We are releasing these podcasts now on the 20th day of every month to coincide with 20 years at the CBS Arena and 20 years in December of the Coventry City Former Players Association. One of the international elements of this, Lee Bell, 20 years of the CCFPA.
It's brilliantly. We started off, I think, with about 6 or 12 members. I wasn't there the first year. I joined 19 years ago, and it's grown and grown. It's one of the best in Britain, never mind England. And we love it. With 51 players at Legends Day, 750 people dining with us. And it was a great success. The whole day went well, and everybody enjoyed it. The fans, the club, and especially the former players. So thank you for that.
Brilliant. And thank you for everyone that joined us. When I say we're going international, we're going to be speaking to a former player who now resides in Benidorm.
Yes,
He'll be joining us in just a second. Former goalkeeper, Bill Glazier.
what a great man. We visit Bill every year in Benidorm. There's myself and 24 to 30 mates. We always meet up with Bill and Karen. We have a wonderful day with him. He's just a really, really nice guy. He'll have a goalkeeper in his day, club record that Jimmy Hill paid for him to Crystal Palace, a world record as well for a goalkeeper. And he's still fit and active at 82, and he plays paddle tennis, and he has a great laugh with us. And he's still revered brilliantly by all the fans of Coventry City. So a top man.
Really looking forward to speaking, Bill, who will be with us in just a second. It's going to be a bit confusing. So we've got Billy, Bill, and Lee. We're all going to be on today's pod. Because I don't trust you. This one's going to be remote. I don't trust you near a computer. So I'm going to stay with you.
I wouldn't.
But you really get on well with, and sorry to say it, the older generation of players, the players from the 60s, the 70s, as much as you get on with the current players, you really get on well. You're in Benidorm all the time, or mate, you're drinking with them every week, it seems.
It's amazing how the relationship is built up through the Former Players Association. I naturally was a fan and went to watch them play, but I played myself, so it was awkward for me to get to many games. But when we joined the Former Players Association, they came back for Legends Day. You get to know them, and they've become good friends. The boys of 87, Bill, Roy up in Scotland, Roy Barry, and Chris Catlin coming up from Brighton for the game next week. And they've become great friends, and it's so lovely that my heroes, you say you should meet your heroes, Lee, but I've met them, and I really do get on well with all of them, to be fair. But you're right, the older echelon I can relate to more, because when I was a young lad going up to watch Coventry, they were on the pitch and we were in the crowd, and you go, wow, what a player, what a player. And all of a sudden they become your mates. It's absolutely brilliant.
And as a goalkeeper myself, I think there's certain goalkeepers through Coventry City history that get mentioned a lot. Steve Grizovic, probably the main one. The one behind that is probably Bill Glazier.
Absolutely. Well, he was with the club for over 10 years and he had a great career with Coventry City. Sadly, he had a bad leg break during that time, which we'll probably touch on. But he's just brave goalkeeper. Tommy Hutchinson, Roy Barry, Willie Carr, and to name a few, and Chris Catlin said the best keeper they've ever played with. And they've played with international keepers, with Tommy Hutchins played with for Scotland, etc., and Willie Carr. And his bravery was unquestionable, that he would come out and dive at people's feet and think nothing of it. But that's the esteem that Bill Glazier's held in.
Well, I hope it hasn't bashed him up too much, because we're about to speak to him. But before we do, Billy, I think it's brilliant the work you do with the Former Players Association, yourself, Rich and Sarah. Another brilliant Legends Day this week. I was very honoured to be a part of it. Looking forward to Golf Day in June for everybody. Yes. Any golfers out there listening, first Thursday of June.
That's correct.
At Stoneleigh Deer Park.
Yes, it's all been sorted. Hopefully we'll get about 24 teams, which we're looking forward to. Again, another great day for players from the past to go out in a team of 3 to make up the teams, to make it a 4-man team. And again, you've been, Lee, and the friendliness and the crack we have amongst the fans who play the golf and the former players, especially with playing the game and having the meal, sitting all together.
A brilliant day. Just for anyone who doesn't know, you get breakfast, you get 18 holes of golf, you play in a team of 3. You were joined by one former player, and then a 3-course meal afterwards with plenty of drinks.
Absolutely.
all the players are interviewed. I was looking forward to it, but it went beyond my expectations for the first one I was involved. So get in touch. Get in touch if you are interested in playing in the golf day. Get in touch if you would like to help the former players in any way, sponsoring one of these podcasts or just offering your help, support, donations. It's great work. We support local charities. We support former players that hit hard times, and whether that be through addiction, financial hardship, injury. It's a great job the former players do. We've rattled on far too much. Shall we go to Benidorm?
That's unusual for me to talk too much. Yes, we'll go live to Benidorm. Thanks very much for listening. All the best.
And introducing Bill
Mr.
Glazier.
Glazier. Thank you.
Let's go sing together. Gus Harmer scores! The Sky Blues are sky high. Will I hear
How are you, Billy?
I'm very well, Bill.
That's good to
Very
see.
well indeed.
You still
Are
playing,
we
still playing paddle and getting yourself out and about?
still playing paddle, still playing tennis? Yes, keeping fit.
Very good for 82 years young, Bill, this year. 83, is it?
Yes, coming up 83, yeah.
That's good,
Yes.
man. I remember the last time we were there to meet you for your 80th, you were going to see Sir Tom Jones just up the road. You had a great night, didn't you?
Yes. That was in Alicante Bullring.
That was right. Well, Bill, we're going to talk about your time, your career, and how everything went for you. We'll start off at Crystal Palace, Bill. Tell us how that story evolved that you signed for Crystal Palace.
Well, I'd like to start at Torquay, actually.
Was it?
Okay. It was because I did notice that Chris Catlin was in the boys' brigade, and I never knew that. Well, so was I. And on Boxing Day every year, the boys played the officers at football. So this Boxing Day, I was chucked in goal. And really, that's where it all started. The captain of the boys' brigade, he's a businessman. He asked me after the game, he said, would you like a trial with Torquay? I've got some friends down there. So he did, and he got me a trial. Off I went with my little bag to get to Torquay, and they signed me on straight away.
Wow.
They gave me, they paid for my digs, £3.50, and they gave me £3.50. So it was a £7 job. Well, nearly a year later, they had a board meeting, and they were running short of money, and they decided that they have to let the grounds boy go, which was me. So I went back to Brighton. I got a job as a plumber's mate, and my mum had a guest house and had the same baker delivering the bread as Johnny McNichol, who was a fullback for Crystal Palace, had a shop in Brighton. So they had a little ding-dong between them. Well, my mum asked the baker if he would mention me to Johnny McNichol and get a trial at Crystal Palace. Well, that all worked well. And then one morning I was, I got back Saturday morning about 12:30 to the guest house, and there was a taxi outside. I said to my mum, what's the taxi for outside? Well, it's for you to go to Dover. I said, I haven't got a taxi to get to Dover. And they said, yeah, Crystal Palace phoned and they sent a taxi down for you. So got in a taxi and went to Dover. And we were playing their second team. Well, we won the game 1-0. I had a good game. And so Crystal Palace signed me on the next week onto the ground.
What division were Torquay and Crystal Palace in at that time?
Pardon?
What division were they in at that time, Crystal Palace?
Third.
And what division were Torquay in?
I think they were in the fourth. But
Yeah.
I never played for Torquay. Only played reserves.
Yeah, you came up to Crystal Palace, Bill, and you did wonderfully well down there, built up a good career, and then you got a call from the famous, well-loved, respected Mr. Jimmy Hill to come to Coventry City. How did that
Yeah.
work out for you?
Well, You just jumping the gun a little bit. I want to talk about my first game for Crystal Palace,
Sorry, Bill, carry on.
which was
I'll shut him up for a minute. All right, you can go on now.
So we were playing Real Madrid in a friendly, which was a big game. Madrid were meant to play Spurs, but Spurs decided they couldn't afford to pay Real Madrid. Well, our chairman phoned them and said, well, I'll take the game if you don't mind playing a third division club, because they were then winning the European Cup, so 1 year after the next. So he got the match. And we were losing 4-0 at half-time. Vic Rouse, a Welsh international, was our first team keeper and came in at half-time. And Arthur Rowe, famous manager, he said, Bill, you're on. So I got very nervous thinking of playing against Di Stefano, Puskas, Santa Maria and Olaf Hento. So it went on second half and we came off losing 4-3.
Wow.
So I didn't let them in. And so that was that. From then on, I was the first team keeper.
Excellent. And then they got the call from Coventry, Bill, and up you came to see Mr. Jimmy Hill for, at the time, a world record fee.
Yes. That was, we had 2 or 3 players lived in Brighton from Crystal Palace. So I went up in the car with them and obviously professional by now. I went into the drive at Crystal Palace and I saw all these Rolls Royces and big cars everywhere. And I said, what the hell's going on here? And the lads said, well, we don't know. So we got into the changing rooms and somebody said, oh, it's for you. I said, what's for me? They said, Jimmy Hill's come. And I'm in a panic then because I don't know what's really going on. I'm very young and I managed to say to one of the players, when they did eventually come and get me from the dressing room to go into the boardroom, which I'd never been in, I managed to say to one of the lads, what do I ask for? And they said, 5. I said, what, 500? They said, no, 5 big ones. So off I go into the boardroom and there's Jimmy Hill with So Jimmy Hill starts talking and, you know, how he can talk. He went on and on and on. He said, no, we better get down to money. He said, well, what would you like for a signing fee? I said, I stuttered, for 5,000. Spoke for half an hour. Why? He couldn't give me 5,000. And in my mind, I'm down to about 2,000. I think that'd do me. He said, Bill, I can't give you a penny more than 4,500.
Wow.
And I was delighted with that. And for the wages were £45 a week. And the chairman was choking.
But you did well, Bill. No agents in those days, no solicitors. That was purely on the word of one of your teammates, yeah?
Yes.
You
And
did you a favour.
so with that, we'll call him JH now because that's what we used to call him. He said, right, you better go and have you got your boots here? I said, no, they're actually at home. So he said, well, you better go back to Brighton and tell your mum and dad and people what has happened because it's Friday lunchtime now and go to this hotel in Portsmouth. You'll see the players there and introduce yourself, which
Wow.
I did. And of course, I go in the door of the hotel and I can tell they're Coventry City players, but I couldn't have gone to a worse one. I went to George Curtis
Oh.
and I said, are you Coventry City Football Club? He said, football club? No, we're not a football club. So he's taken the mickey. And so that went on. Then he said, right, I'll introduce you to the players. And he got to Bob Wesson, who was the goalkeeper at the time. And he said, and this is Bob Wesson, and you're taking his job.
Wow.
I never thought of it like that. I was devastated. I just couldn't believe. I never looked at it that I was taking somebody's job. I was just getting a transfer. But it still hurts me today. So anyway, next morning, the press, they were saying Jimmy Hill must be mad paying all that money for a goalkeeper and this and that. And not really any good things. So we went out and fortunately I had a blinder. The Sunday papers then was Golden Boy, Jimmy Hill's right. And oh yes, in the Sunday People, they used to give players number ratings of how good they were. And it's about the only time I ever got a 10 out of 10.
There weren't many of those about, Bill. Well done. And then you travelled up to Coventry. How did you feel coming to Coventry, and how did the club and the players welcome you, and the fans of Coventry City? Did you feel welcome straight away?
Well, yes. It was all over a period, but there was a friendly game, I think, on the Tuesday against a Scottish club. I can't remember much about it. But I know that where they would have normally had about 8 or 10,000 for a friendly game, I think they really turned out as about 18,000 in there.
Very good.
I had to see this new keeper.
That's brilliant. How old are you, can I just ask, at this stage, Bill? I think you were only 20, 21, because quite briefly, you're in the boys' brigade a second ago, and now you've gone to Torquay, gone to Crystal Palace, played against Real Madrid, come the world record signing as for a goalkeeper, and you're only 20, 21?
Yes, yeah. Something like that. And then Coventry and Crystal Palace, we went up the same year together to the second division. And then about 8 or 9 games after that, Coventry came in for me, and Coventry were having a bad run. So it was the start. We beat Portsmouth 2-0. And that was us on the way. But what at Crystal Palace, the training system is completely different. We just ran around the track and ran up and down the steps, and then had a big car park. That was the five-a-side pitch. And that's all the training we done. So we got to Coventry, and I see writing on Dunsmore, absolutely perfect. 3 beautiful pitches, changing rooms. Got ready, going out. We only ever had 2 balls at Crystal Palace for training. Jimmy Hill comes out with a net full of balls. Alan Dix, I think it was, he comes out full of balls. And I thought, yes, I've arrived. Because
It's funny how
really,
sorry, Bill. It's funny how going from one to the other. That was JH, as you call him. He wanted just to play football and have a lot of ball work as opposed to running around the track.
exactly, yes. And
Yeah.
at Palace, we never done any goalkeeping training. But at Coventry, it wasn't much different. I still trained the same as the lads, but not a lot of goalkeeping training. I think Norman Pilgrim, the physio, he used to take me for goalkeeping training.
A nice man, Norman. Lovely man. Yeah, Bill, well, that was it. You worked your way, well, not your work, the team worked their way up, and they ended up, we had to play Wolves to decide who would win now the championship, then the old second division. And what a night that was at Highfield Road.
Oh, yes, yeah. Brilliant night. I can't remember much of it, really, because I think by the time I got into the stands and they were all passing me champagne and beer, and I was drinking as much as I could. That was a great night. Yeah.
A fabulous achievement for Jimmy, and Mr. Robbins, invested a lot of money in the team. But that night in Coventry, the attendance varies from 40,000 to 55,000, but there wasn't a seat to spare, was there, Bill?
No. They were up the floodlights and all around the track, the running track, and they were everywhere. Yeah.
It was a fabulous, and I think you were telling me that was one of your very few football medals that you now possess. Was that medal for winning the league?
The only one.
There you go.
Because when I said Coventry and Crystal Palace went up together, Coventry won the 3rd division that year, and we were second, so you didn't get a medal for being second.
No runners-up medals. Now it's all changed these days, Bill. Moving on from, you got to the promised land, which we're hoping to do this season, the Premiership now, the old First Division. Did you find the step up particularly hard, or with all the way the team was playing, you coped in the First Division?
Are you talking about as a goalkeeper?
Yes, as a goalkeeper, Bill.
Yeah, I didn't find a lot of differences as you went up the league, because shooting is shooting.
Yeah.
Anybody who's got a hard shot can shoot. So I did. No, I found it okay moving up the leagues.
Excellent. And did you enjoy it? The bigger crowds and the bigger glamorous teams coming to Coventry?
Oh yes, but Coventry was always well supported.
Yes, they were.
Even second division, we were 15 to 18,000 every week. Some of them were much lower than that. And then when we got in the first division, we were always over 30,000.
Well, you had a wonderful career with us, Bill, 10 years. And I don't like to put you on the spot, but could you name 2 or 3 players who you thought, wow, these are great players to have in my team?
Yes, well, there was, and I think Chris Catlin mentioned him. There was Tommy Hutchins, who must have been the best buy. He was brilliant. Colin Steen, he was a good player at the end of his career. But Bobby Gold, he was a cracking player.
Yeah.
Scored a few goals. And I used to sit with his dad in the stand. He was blind. So I'd talk him through the game. Or any player who was injured could do the same job. And then there was Mick Kearns, the Cat, and myself. Mickey Coop, he was a good player.
Well, we're blessed with a pretty good side with Roy Barry and with Tony Haley for a short spell. A lot of players came and gone, but you seem to, at the time, just keep building up the momentum. And eventually, Bill, you got to play in Europe, but sadly you had just broken your leg and couldn't play.
No, you got that bit wrong, Billy.
Oh, have I? I'll find myself 5 bob.
We played at Arsenal on the Saturday, and I got my first injury. I was always in the team.
That's
But
right.
I got a knock on the ankle, which is unusual for a goalkeeper. So I couldn't play in the first game with Bayern Munich. Eric McManus was the
Yes,
second.
Irish lad, yeah.
It was going to be his first game, probably the biggest game Coventry had ever played. So he, Bayern Munich would have read up that I was injured and there was a reserve keeper playing. So we got there and it was a terrible night,
Yeah.
blowing a gale. And right from the kickoff, they just kept shooting, just taking a chance because he could skid on the ground and banking on that the keeper will make a mistake. Well, Eric let a few goals in, and I do remember the last one because I felt so sorry for him. One of the lads shot, hit the bar, came off the bar, and hit Eric on the back of the head. Went in the net.
Bless him. Oh, dear.
We did have a nightmare.
But we beat them in the return leg, Bills, as 3-1 at Highfield Road against a team that won the European Cup the next year and the 6 or 7 of the team that won the World Cup a few years later.
Yes. Beckenbauer, Muller, all those class players were. Yeah.
It must have been great playing in Europe, Bill. The City Fairs Cup, as it was known then, we beat Traquair Plodford and that. Was that one of your finest memories of being a Coventry City player?
Yes. But you have to go a long way to beat that Wolverhampton game.
Oh, that was wonderful, yeah. We'll give you that one, Bill.
50,000 fans in Highfield Road. Because when
So
I
you're-
went to Highfield Road, there was a hill on the pitch.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hell of a
But
show. Yeah.
they flattened it. But yes, we went to Plovdiv, and in them days it was a communist country. And from the hotel, you see people just all walking around the square, all nitty natter, and hadn't got any money to spend. So we played the game. John O'Rourke scored a hat trick.
That's right, yeah.
And next day we're off, up, and the bus is ready. Off we go. But we've got a detective on the coach. Big fat lady. Shouldn't say that. In them days you could.
Dear.
So we get halfway home and the coach stops for the boys to have a wee or whatever. And that happened and we all came back and got on, and then she decided she wanted to do her business. So we get hold of the driver and he said, "Come on, leave her. Let's go without her." No, I get shot.
Robbie Wimbledon in those days.
Talking about having weeks, we'll have a little word
Okay,
from our
Billy.
sponsors,
Yeah.
and then looking forward to chatting a bit more after the break, Bill, about England caps. Billy tells me you might have had the chance playing for Ireland, and a few words about how you see the modern Coventry City team. We'll be back after this short break. This podcast is sponsored by our very own Coventry City Former Players Association annual golf day. This year's event is taking place on Thursday the 4th of June at Stoneleigh Deer Park and is expected to sell out fast. £300 for a team of 3, which includes breakfast, 18 holes of golf with a former player or representative, a 3-course evening meal, lots of awards and prizes, and an evening mingling with the stars of yesteryear, all in support of the CCFPA. To book your place, contact us by email, sarah.janemorris@btinternet.com, or message the CCFPA on Facebook or TikTok, or see us in Lady G's after every home game. Many thanks for listening, and play up Sky Blues. Welcome back to part 2, and we've just had to listen to some Billy Bell jokes. I've had to have a word about him letting Bill Glazier get the odd word in edgeways. 106 games Bill played for Crystal Palace. We think he had half a game against Real Madrid so far, and this is why I'm here, to look after Billy and make sure Bill Glazier gets the odd word in. Bill, how's it going? Any complaints so far?
No, he's just a very nice guy. He's getting old, like all of it.
So your career had a major stop against Man City when you sadly broke your leg. Can you talk us through that and how you recuperated and got back to playing again?
Yes, I'd start off a little bit before that, because soon after I got to Coventry, Alf Ramsey picked me for the England under 23s, which they don't have anymore. So I actually played 3 games for them and never let a goal in. So I was doing well with them. And then it was nearly Easter and we were playing at Manchester City. And a message had come down from the stands from Alf Ramsey to JH saying, I'll be taking Bill Glazier on the full England trip in the summer, which that cheered me up. I thought, great, wonderful, because they always give the under 23 a full game to bring them on a bit. So that was been a good day until nearly half time, and I broke my leg. And of course, that knocked me back always, because there might have been half a chance I could have been with the England team that won the World Cup in '66. Broken leg, off to hospital. We had a very good surgeon in Coventry that would have been able to do the job. JH and Derek Robbins was the chairman's name. They're at the end of the bed discussing what to do about this broken leg and who should do the job. Should we take him back to Coventry? And I then said to the surgeon, I said, is there any problems with going back in an ambulance, rocking around and shaking? And he said, yes, you can always get problems from anything like that. So I said, you do the job then. So I stayed in Manchester for 3 or 4 weeks, and that's where the fans were super. I always had fans coming from Coventry up to see me.
That's really weird you're saying this, Bill. Obviously, we had Dave Boost on the show, who also had a very bad leg break and stayed in Manchester for the recovery. So it's obviously a place that are dealing with it. How did you do the leg break? Was it a challenge?
Yes. Ronnie Farmer, a good friend of Billy's and I, he was leading back, and I was coming out sliding to get the ball near the edge of the box. And this chap, Lampardo, put his legs in between Ronnie Farmer's and managed to get at my leg and snapped. So that was the bad luck.
Yeah, it's so sad, Bill, because you said you missed out on the 1966 World Cup squad, but you were telling me, Benidorm, that you got a call from the Irish manager asking Sir Ralph Ramsey, could you play for Ireland? And at the time, the rules were, it was a gentleman's agreement between the managers at the time.
That's right. Yes.
And Ralph Ramsey said, no, Bill's mine, basically.
Yeah, that's right. He said, I'll need him. And so that was the end of it. The only thing about playing for Ireland was they just travelled all over the world. They were always playing away games,
Yeah.
which I miss the travelling.
Because you like a bit of a few trips out. So your career with Coventry was fabulous, and the club honoured you with a benefit. And I was at that game, and we played the 1966 World Cup team. What a great honour for all those boys. Some of them had retired to come out of retirement to play for you, Bill. You must have been thrilled that night at Highfield Road.
They didn't come out of retirement. They won. I think they were all playing still. But
Sorry,
anyway, that came about with my testimonial was coming up.
that's right.
At the Hilton in London, once a year, our union used to give all the players, if you wanted, cheap seats for a dinner. And I took one or two of my committee for my testimonial with me. And one of them had an idea. He said, Bill, I got an idea. Let's ask, top table was the 66 World Cup winning team. The dinner was in honor of them. Bill, let's ask the team if they'd play in your testimonial. I said, don't be so silly, they'd never want to play in my testimonial. And anyway, he went up to get their autographs, and he asked every one of them as he went along. And he came back and he said, Bill, I got the whole lot. They all want to play testy. And the only one I didn't get was, I think, Bobby Charlton, because he had prearranged something. So that was a great night. We had Alan Ball, Jeff Hurst, Martin Peters. I've forgotten most of them now.
Yeah, Bobby Moore played and Jackie Charlton played. I remember the night you got a fabulous crowd, Bill, for your testimony. Was about 19,000, 20,000 there that night?
There was, yeah. Just under 20,000, yeah. Which was surprising because I think it was on the Saturday we played a game. Before the game, there was a bomb scare in the stadium. It was like when the IRA were planting bombs, and that frightened a lot of people. So we were a little bit worried about testimonial that they might not turn up. But good old Coventry fans, they were there.
Brilliant. I want to ask about another England game at Highfield Road, because one of your under-23 games was against Romania at Highfield Road.
Yeah, I think Alf Ramsey pulled a good one there. He thought, well, if I'm playing at Coventry and I play that goalkeeper, we'll get a hell of a crowd.
And those
The 23s were you got about 12,000 people at them. And there was 27,000.
That's true, yeah. Brilliant. The thing is, well, that testimonial game, you were so appreciative, and the fans still appreciate you to this day. When you come back, Bill, does it stir lovely memories of Coventry when you've been with us on Legends Day and other trips you've come over? Do you enjoy your time coming?
Oh, yes, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't like being with Billy Bell?
My ex-wife, we formed the association and 20 years ago this year, and you've been a big supporter of it. And when you come over, isn't it lovely talking to your former teammates and fans?
Oh, I missed that one.
Isn't it lovely on Legends Day to sit and chat with your former teammates and the fans of the city?
Yeah. But the other one had to do with I had to go into this casino and do an interview with Billy Bell.
You enjoy it.
Give me pints of beer.
Oh, there you go. And you turn them all away, I know that.
When I'm leaving the casino, I trip over some statue or something, and then Billy Bell came up and he said, I saw that, Jimmy Hill. You tripped Bill Glazier, you yellow card.
That was for you getting $4.5 grand off Jimmy Hill. It was stripping you up, Bill. It was getting us home back. Louis, you got a question?
Yeah, I've got some questions from a few of our listeners who have wrote in. And first one's from Steve from Lutterworth. He's asked, goalkeepers' attire has changed since your day, most notably their gloves. Would you have liked to be wearing today's gloves? I presume, what did you start with, Bill? A bit of spit on the hands?
Virtually. We had to go to Marks and Sparks, and they had, for horse riding, you had these string gloves, and that's what we used to wear. And once the mud got in between the knots and that, they were no good anyway. So getting to I would love to. I've never even worn a pair, but I would love to try them gloves on.
Doesn't it thrill, Bill, that you used to get a little apprentice, one of the ground staff, to nip down to the local shop for some chewing gum, and you chewed it and fit it on the palms of your hands.
And then the ball stuck to it.
Yeah, I heard that story. Anyway, Lee, some more questions for you, Bill.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
Next one. David from Shilton says, which striker did you rate back in the day?
I mean, he wasn't a striker, but Georgie Best was the best I played against. I always played on the edge of the box until they got over the halfway line. But I would go slowly back as they slowly came in. But with Georgie Best, once he got to the halfway line, I made sure I was back in goal. And then the other player, Jimmy Greaves, he was a great centre forward. He was a bit of a toe poker, which is difficult for a goalkeeper because as you're advancing, you're getting ready to go down. So you wait to see their leg being drawn back and then you go down. But with a toe punt, it's only a little dink, and he always done them. But I remember this is getting to modern day football. What goes on in the box with all the wrestling and I think it's mad. And Jimmy Greaves came up and he's standing in front of me, and Nicholson was his manager. And he said, Nico's told me to stand here, Bill, and barge you about. He said, if it's your ball, go and get it. Well, there's a gentleman. But these guys today, I mean, I just wish George Curtis was still playing and I'd try and rugby tackle him.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And Phil from Hinckley says, if you hadn't been a footballer, what would you have been doing?
And that's another interesting one. I could have been a plumber's mate.
There you go.
But I want to go back to Mick Cooper on that one, because I used to drive in the car from Leamington Spa to training every day with him. And he hated football, but he loved golf. And he was very, very good at it, but he wasn't quite good enough to be professional. So because he was good enough at football, he had to play football. So yeah, it can be a funny old game.
Penultimate question, and this is a second question from Steve from Lutterworth. Are you watching? We mentioned that you're now residing in Benidorm. Are you watching any Spanish football, and do you follow your local team, Elche?
No.
Tell us straight, Bill.
In a word.
But you still watch this. You're still in Karen. You still watch the City games live on Sky, Bill. Like tonight, you'll be watching.
I live in a little village called Cowell, and I do go Saturday mornings to see the kids play or the locals play. But I don't go to the professional game. But I do spend the whole of Saturday and Sunday watching English football. There's 3 games a day.
Yeah. And then the last question from listener. Now, I hope you've prepared for this one because it's been on every one of our podcasts. It's from Jed from Coventry. What are your favourite crisps?
Smiths.
Yes. Yeah. Is that a blue bag, Bill?
Well, no, the salt and shake.
I keep looking for the little blue packet of salt in them.
Smith's salt and shake. That's a good one.
That's a good one, Bill.
Definitely haven't had that one from anywhere else.
I'll bring you some in June, Bill.
So Billy did just touch on it. Are you getting to you're watching 3 games a day? So I take it you're getting to watch the Sky Blues.
Yes. Watch all the games. They seem to be on television all the time at the moment with the early kickoffs.
Well, I can tell you that we're recording this just before the Derby game. It won't go out until the 20th of April. So who knows where we are in the league table before that. Potentially could get promoted and match your achievements from your playing days.
Sorry?
Potentially somewhere around this podcast going out, which is the 20th of April, fingers crossed, we might be looking back to matching your achievements from your playing days.
Yes, yeah. I got everything crossed. I mean, I'm thinking it could be the way the results are going for them. Not only are we playing well, the other teams are making a mess of it. And really, I think if we won the next, how many games are there left? I know there's 7 in the Premier.
7 games as we record this podcast.
Right. So give them by 5 games to go, they could be up.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. And we've got a brilliant goalkeeper at the moment, Carl Rushworth, on loan from Brighton. What have you made of him this season?
Yeah, he's been brilliant. But he's on loan, isn't he, from Brighton?
That's
Yeah.
correct, Bill.
That's a shame.
We might have to spend a bit more than 35,000 on him if we're to get him full time. It could potentially be. I mean,
Yeah.
the rumour is we could have gone for 6 million in the summer, but Brighton are going to be looking for some good
Oh.
money for him.
Plenty. Yes, yes. Well, they're talking about him being English keeper, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed when Thomas Tuchel named 5 keepers in the last squad that he wasn't part of it. But you know, there are a couple of young and experienced keepers there. Fingers crossed, if he keeps getting first team football, he'll be somewhere near the England setup.
Yeah, yes. But I think I don't think Coventry need a lot of players if they go up this time. They look like a good team. I'd have thought 2 or 3 new players. They could be quite happy in the Premiership.
Exactly.
Well, fingers crossed that's where we are. Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Billy, any final words for Bill?
No, I just love the man. He's my type of bloke. He's daster than me. He's a top
I'll
guy,
see-
Bill, and I'll see you in June. And Karen, and thank you so
in
much.
June.
Thank you so much for doing this.
And I'll buy you a pint.
That's unusual.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And thank you once again to the amazing Bill Glazier.
Thank you, Bill.
Cheers. Cheers, Lee.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much for listening and your continued support to the CCFPA podcast. On screen now is a message that Bill Glazier sent after recording the podcast, which he'd like to share with Coventry City fans. It reads, "I want to thank the club and all the fans for the great welcome I've always received from the very first day to today. I'm really honoured and so grateful to be part of such a great club, through thick and thin. Thank you to each and every one of you. Play up Sky Blues, onwards and upwards." And now, Billy Bell would like to share his rendition of the song sang by Coventry City fans to Bill Glazier.
Well, thank you, Bill Glazier. Bill had a song sung about him before we played Wolves. Now, to give the youngsters a bit of a clue in this, the name Yashin was a Russian goalkeeper, and he played in, I think, 3 or 4 World Cups, one of the greatest goalkeepers in the world. And it also gives a mention to a young man called Eusebio, who got the player of the tournament in the 1966 World Cup. So here we go with the Bill Glazier song. Aye, Glazier is better than Russian, and Bobby Gould's better than Eusebio, and Wolves are in for a thrashing. And we beat them that night. Thank you very much, Bill Glazier.